What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, guys. For those of you that are new here, my name's Tim, and I'm a NPC Classic Physique competitor. So today, guys, we're going to be talking about, in my opinion, the top 10 red flags that you need to watch out for when either hiring a bodybuilding coach or with your current coach. So let's go ahead and get right into the list here. So red flag number 1, no consult call. So if you guys are reaching out to a coach or possibly a coach has reached out to you, and they are not offering a free, 30, 15, 30-minute consultation, just a hop on the phone, let's chat, that is something you definitely need to run from. It's super important to hop on a call with these guys, whether it be just a regular phone call, a Zoom call, FaceTime, whatever it is. That way you can, just talk to each other, kind of feel each other out, see what their methodologies are, see what your goals as a client are, and see if, both of you think that you guys would be a good fit working together. Because ultimately it does become, well, in hopes it does become a long-term relationship. Your coach tends to know everything about you, and you definitely get time sharing in some vulnerable information. And you need to know that you guys, click. Need to know that you guys work well together. That kind of thing. So the consultation, it really eliminates some of that, because you don't want to get into a coaching situation and turns out that you guys have completely different beliefs. Um, he or she doesn't realize what your goals are, that kind of thing. So the free consultation definitely mitigates a lot of those problems and just really helps all the way around. So red flag number 2, they're not asking you any kind of questions about what your preferences are, what your current or previous gear usages are, and just typically how your body responds. Um, yeah, that's all unfortunate. They should be asking you how, in your opinion, what's worked well for you in the past. What have you done as far as steroids, PEDs goes? What are you comfortable with doing? What do you prefer when it comes to a training program? Now they can offer suggestions. I like this movement versus this movement, and you can weigh in on that too. Say, hey, well, this movement here, it really hurts my joints or something like that. Let's not do that. And they should be receptive to that to a degree. Um, so definitely they should be asking you questions and getting your biofeedback on their programming and their diet plans and their gear protocols and stuff like that as well. So red flag number 3 is going to be a severe lack of communication slash bad response times. Um, Guys, this is actually something that I've personally dealt with in the past. I had a coach that I would shoot a text message to midweek, and I would wonder if I was going to get a response, and oftentimes I didn't. Now, this doesn't just go with like random messages through the week. This can also lead into check-in times. I've heard horror stories, guys, of people reaching out to their coaches and doing a check-in on say Monday morning, and possibly not hearing back for weeks, days, weeks, whatever it is, and that is unacceptable. Like a good rule of thumb for response times, honestly, is around the 24-hour mark. My current coach, this past week, I just hired a new coach. I sent my check-ins at 4:30 a.m. That just happens to be the time I get up and moving for work. And I had a response to my check-in before 9 a.m., which is definitely not something I'm used to. I'm used to waiting, at least till midday the next day. So response times to check-ins is a big one. Response times to just random text messages, things like that. That's a big one as well. It becomes super prevalent on like contest prep when adjustments need to be made. You don't want to be waiting 2, 3 days, weeks, whatever it is, to get a response to your check-in. You're losing valuable time when it comes down to the last few weeks of a contest prep, or even peak week protocols, that kind of thing, or show day for that matter. So you definitely need somebody that communicates well. And something else you need to be asking these coaches too, guys, is how they want to be communicated with and what you can expect as far as means of communication. That way, there's no gray area there. You know what you're getting, you know what you're signing up for, and if their response to that question is acceptable to you, awesome, move forward. And if it's not, you've asked the question, you know it's time to move on. So anyway, red flag number 4, they're unable to answer any kind of questions about the process, and they have a just do it because I said so mentality. Guys, that's just screwed up. If you're going to be a coach, you need to be educated enough to go, okay, I can answer the questions of why I'm adjusting your carbs, why I'm adjusting your fat. that kind of thing. Why I'm doing your training program this way. It should never be a one size fits all approach. It should never be a just do this because I said so, follow the plan, and shut up kind of mentality. That's just fucked up. You should be properly educated and be able to answer questions that your clients have. Um, and unfortunately, guys, this is an unregulated industry, so not all coaches are created equal, and some still have the mentality of just do it because I said so, follow the plan, eat the tilapia because I said to eat tilapia, even though you might have a fish allergy, or you just might not like tilapia. Where you could honestly make the same macro adjustments with chicken or beef or whatever it is, but coaches just see everything so one-sided. At times, obviously, these bad coaches just see everything so one-sided and just have like just a terrible mindset when it comes to just do it because I said so, not making reasonable exchanges for like food or exercise selection, that kind of thing. So brings us into our next one, which is going to be red flag number 5, and it's going to kind of come off the other one just a little bit. It's going to be cookie cutter diets and training programs along with peak weeks. There are still coaches out there, guys, that give the same exact 1,200 calorie diet to bikini competitors, men's physique athletes, and even open bodybuilders. Honestly, and they do this because they say it works for everybody, which, I mean, sure, I'm sure you can give a 200-pound guy, a 200-pound men's physique guy, a 1,200 calorie diet. Yeah, he's going to get shredded, but it's probably going to be the last prep he does because it's fucking miserable. 1,200 calories and 2 hours of cardio, 12, 14 weeks out. That is ridiculous. All these plans need to be tailored specifically to you as a client and no one else. Two clients, in my opinion, should not have the exact same macros. Now, I'm sure there's rare cases out there where it just happens to work out, or a teammate that's very similar structurally, very similar build, etc., might have similar macros, but I would say those are few and far between. A 240-pound open bodybuilder and a 110-pound bikini competitor should definitely not have the same meal plan, and honestly, they should not have the same training protocols either. Um, and that's another one that I've dealt with too. Is I've had personally dealt with in the past is cookie cutter training programs, which, I mean, yeah, it worked to a degree, but I definitely feel like it could have been optimized a little bit better with actually doing training programs based on my weak points as a bodybuilder. So keep that one in mind as well, guys. And also, I didn't even touch on this cookie cutter peak week protocols. Peak week is not this magical week where you make all these adjustments and do all this crazy stuff to transform your body, to show day. Honestly, all the work should be done leading up to show day or leading up to peak week. A week out, you should be in stage condition, and you are just making minor changes to both protein and or both carbohydrates and fats to properly fill out and look your best on stage. It should not be this drastic pendulum swing. Oh, now it's peak week. Now it's time to suffer. That's definitely not how peak week should operate, guys. And your peak week should look a little bit different, whether it be for a bikini competitor or open bodybuilder. That should look drastically different. Definitely depending on your division as well. So some divisions, you might need to cut a little more water, or some competitors, you might need to cut a little more water because they're holding too much water, or some, you might need to feed more aggressively into the show if their body's running away, etc. So cookie cutter programming all the way around, guys, is just not the way to go. Everything should be personalized, should be individual to you. So on to our next one. Let's see here. We are at red flag number 6. Not offering any guidance for a reverse diet plan. So I don't know if you've competed or not, but typically when you're coming out of a show, your body is like a dried up sponge. That's the best analogy I can think of. Because typically, you have to diet pretty hard to get to actual show condition. You have to do a lot of cardio typically. Not like I said, this isn't a one size fits all. Everyone's individual. But most people, I would say, end up having to get pretty aggressive with the diet, have to get pretty aggressive with the cardio. So when that show day's there, you guys are ravenous. Well, not you guys, but most people are typically ravenous post show, especially if you've had to kind of crash into the show with a terrible peak week, had to cut a lot of water, deplete a lot of carbs, etc. coming in. Their body's just tired, and the first bite of something sweet oftentimes leads into a spiral. And if your coach hasn't had this conversation with you, like, hey, this is what you can expect. This is going to be the plan moving forward. They should have that to you guys by show day, so you know what you need to do starting Sunday or Monday, depending on what you guys talk about. Um, you should have that plan in place, because a couple days, guys, of just binge eating and going crazy and making yourself sick, it can really, really throw off your progress. You can diet for 20 weeks and screw all that up in 3 or 4 days. I've heard horror stories, guys, of people gaining, excess of 20, 30 pounds in just a few days post show, like less than a week, gaining 20 or 30 pounds. Can you guys imagine that? I mean, think about what that's going to do to your blood work, what that's going to do to your blood pressure. Just not good all the way around. So making sure that you have a good reverse diet and a good plan post show is so important, guys. So make sure your coach is getting that to you sooner rather than later. I would say at minimum on show day, you should have that in your inbox, in your text messages, however you and your coach communicate. You need to have that plan in place. That way you have something to follow post show and can handle the reverse and come out of the show day successful. So, red flag number 7, that's going to be saying PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, are required to compete. Guys, this is going to depend a little bit on your goal. This is going to depend a little bit on your structure. But ultimately, PEDs are not required to compete at all. Um, so, say you're a transformation client. You lost 100 pounds and you want to get on stage. In my opinion, PEDs are certainly not required for that. Now, you're a top level national competitor and you need another few pounds, to be competitive. You need another 10 pounds of stage weight. Yeah, PEDs are probably a requirement for that. Um, but just to get on stage, just to have a good time, something you're doing as a hobby, you want to stay natural, your coach needs to respect that and not try to force performance enhancing drugs on you if that's not something you're receptive to, or that's just not something you're willing to do, which is perfectly fine. Personally, I am enhanced, but I do have bigger aspirations than just competing at a local level. And honestly, I just do not have the genetics to acquire the size that I would need to compete at a higher level naturally. So that's the reasoning that I decided to go ahead and hop on performance enhancing drugs. But it's a completely personal decision and not one that needs to be taken lightly. And also, guys, do not, like I said, just do not let your coach force you into believing that it is a requirement. It is something you have to do, because it is certainly not. So, red flag number 8, not getting you into proper shape for show day, so not actually getting you stage condition, or not getting you to the goal that you guys talked about originally in an appropriate timeline. So this is a little bit different here, because you have to do your due diligence as a client too here. You can't come to your coach 6 weeks out from a show and say, hey, I want to do this show in 6 weeks and you're 20 pounds over stage weight. I mean, sure, you can do the show, but you're not going to be in shape. Now, say a coach has you through an entire off season. Um, say you hire a coach directly post show. This is actually something I've done. You hire a coach directly post show. They take you through an entire off season, and then they diet you down for a show. And at that point, you don't come in shape, or at least close. Because I mean, especially if it's the first time working with a client, you're not going to nail it every single show, but you should be within striking distance. If a coach gets you to the point where you were in condition, but maybe you're a little flat, that's one thing. But if you're just way off reservation, you're nowhere near in contest shape, that's a problem. Or say you want to put on 5 pounds this year of actual contractile tissue, and you work an off season with a coach, you get to show day, they diet you down for a show day, and you look worse, similar to this Matt Jansen situation. You end up looking worse on show day. You had lost muscle, etc. It's time to move on, in my opinion. And that's honestly why I just hired my most recent coach. So, or fired my most recent coach, because honestly, I just wasn't in shape on show day and some communication error. That's honestly what's leading me to making this video, because I don't want people like you to go through the same struggles that I did with a coach. honestly, because I didn't know any better. I won't say I was misinformed, but I didn't do enough research, didn't see enough of these type of videos to realize, oh wow, this stuff isn't acceptable. So that's why I'm making the video for you today, guys. But red flag number 9, um, coaches sliding into your DMs, promising you the world. Unfortunately, guys, you will see this often. You will see coaches backstage, walking around looking at the overall winner, or people that they feel like has a lot of potential in the sport. Hey, you need to leave your coach, come work with me. I can do X, Y, or Z. Blah blah blah. Um, or coaches just sliding into your DMs, wanting to work with you. One, it makes you feel really good because they'll gas you up. Man, you looked awesome. Your structure's phenomenal. Your genetics look great. This, that, and the third. But honestly, to me, that tells me that they don't have a good track record. Honestly, because if they had a good enough track record, they would have a line of clients waiting to work with them. They wouldn't feel the need to be sliding at people's DMs, trying to poach people at shows, etc. That's just distasteful, and it just shows me that they do not have, they are not in demand as a coach. So makes me question if I would ever actually want to work with them or not. So getting into our 10th and final point here, guys. Um, this kind of leads off our point number 9 as well. But promising you certain placings, promising you a pro card, um, things like that. Guys, these coaches cannot control who shows up to these shows. So, yeah, you might look the best you've ever looked, but that is not a guarantee that you're going to place at a certain level. That does not guarantee that you're going to get a pro card. Because, like I said, ultimately, guys, you can't control who shows up to these shows. These coaches are just trying to feed you a line of shit. They're trying to tell you anything they can to keep you on as a client, trying to gain your business, etc. And it's just not cool, but it does happen, and you do need to know about it. So yeah, coach will come to you, hey, let's work together, or maybe you're currently working with them now. Hey, you look awesome. You're going to do really well at the show. I guarantee you an overall, or I'm going to give you your money back, or I guarantee you're going to get a pro card at nationals this year, or you're going to get your money back. And that's so ridiculous. They cannot promise you those things, and they're foolish for thinking that they can. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap this list up. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you get some, get some benefit from this. Hopefully, you're not dealing with any of these problems, but if you are, just know that, in my opinion, they are unacceptable, and it's time to move on if you're dealing with some of these. And keep it in mind as you're interviewing potential coaches. That way, you can probe some of these questions and see what their responses are, and it might be a good way if you see if you want to work with them or not. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all have a kick-ass day.